Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. Before we get started, we wanted to remind you that all proceeds from our channel are donated to charity. Please help us help others by giving us a thumbs up, commenting, or subscribing to our channel. Your support makes a difference. And if you don't believe that we donate to charity, check out the fund that we contribute to that was donated to the Navy SEAL Foundation in January of 2024. Now that we're back on dry land, we wanted to go over one of our favorite spots on board the Sun Princess, the Seaview Bar, the Seaview Terrace, and the Dome. Shh, don't tell anybody, but this was our happy place on board. We hate to give it away, but why don't we get to it? Today we're going to talk about the Seaview Terrace and the Seaview Bar, and end this video with the Dome. So let's get to the Seaview spaces first. Really, this is one big space located forward. The Seaview Terrace is the lower level on deck 16, and the upper level is the Seaview Bar on deck 17. Each is open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. The Sunview Terrace has a capacity of 206 passengers, and the Seaview Bar has a capacity of 60 passengers. Now, we will say that the Seaview Terrace and the Seaview Bar are pretty much the best space located forward on any ship we've ever been on. Positioned where the sanctuary is on Grand and Royal class ships, this multi-tiered area is filled with loungers and other chairs and offers a fantastic almost 180-degree view forward so you can see where the ship is heading. This is a perfect spot for passengers who don't have access to the sanctuary so that they can get out on deck and enjoy some views. It's not an adults-only space like the sanctuary, and we did see some children walking through and swimming here. One thing we loved, even though it wasn't adult-only, it was free from the distractions and noise of the Lido pools. And this really was our secret spot, and unfortunately we're telling people about it, so we hope that it really doesn't get very crowded. Probably the reason it wasn't very crowded when we were on board was because most passengers don't seem to look past the dome, which we'll talk about in a little bit. The upper bar has bar seating at the bar and forward of the bar to enjoy this beautiful view. And again, this bar is open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. Now, we didn't have any drinks there because honestly, we really don't have cocktails or wine much during the day. But we've heard that there are over 260 types of cocktails available across the entire Princess fleet, but the Sun Princess alone has 200 new ones. Now here's an example of the bar menu from the Seaview Bar. And here are some of the examples of the drinks at that bar that they had out on display. Our favorite drink across the entire ship was the Velvet Sunset from the Elite Lounge every evening, which, by the way, is held directly adjacent to the entry to the dome near the cascading water feature, which we'll show you in a bit. The Seaview space could be a great spot for sunrise or sunsets, but the hours of 10 to 6 aren't necessarily conducive to seeing them on many cruises. It depends obviously on the time of year and where you're located on your particular cruise. But there are so many windows and decks to view the sea on the Sun Princess that this is really one of the features that we just love about this ship. And if you think about it, the views that you can get on the Sun Princess are bigger views than on other Princess ships. So sunsets on this cruise ship are bound to be found somewhere. Below, there are additional seating options with chairs, occasional tables, cushion loungers that are interesting, and they're almost like a papasan chair, and sunbeds. The sunbeds can have cushions added to them, as we saw, just like in the sanctuary. But this is really dependent on weather, we were told by management. We bet that the cushions are actually going to be moved to the sanctuary because if you saw our review of the sanctuary, not all the chairs there are cushioned as you would expect. But when the cushions are out in the Seaview Terrace, this would be a great place to enjoy relaxing instead of the sanctuary. There are washrooms here, and the washrooms on the Sun Princess are really kind of interesting and do promote a healthy environment on board. And the bathrooms on the Seaview Terrace are one example of that. The one that's located for the ladies and the gents in the Seaview Terrace area have electronic hand wave access, which is great for mobility challenged individuals And actually, these are washrooms that we saw originally on the P&O cruise ship Arvia when we went on its maiden voyage a year ago. And it took us a while to figure them out, but they are kind of nice once you start using them because you can get into and out of the bathroom really hands-free and feel like you're not spreading germs quite as much. The sinks have soap and water all in one spout, and you'll see these all around the Sun Princess ship. Now, when you think about the weather, obviously this is a space that's on the front of the ship and subject to a great deal of wind, and perhaps sun as well. And there are wind baffles made of glass, which are just gorgeous on each level. They're effective at reducing the wind, and they reduce the sun a little bit, but not quite as much as an umbrella might, for example. So if you're out there on the Seaview Terrace, do make sure that you wear your sunscreen. There are 2 hot tubs and a pool on the upper level. The pool can be used during the day, and it can be open to access inside the dome too. But the pool can also be partially closed if they're working in the dome, and there's a glass door that comes down to close it. The pool must be heated because it really seemed warmer than we expected on this cruise, which really wasn't a warm weather cruise. When the glass door is open, you can swim into the dome, which is actually a little weird if there's a show going on in the dome to have people and children swimming behind them. And alternatively, if you're swimming in the pool, it's kind of weird to be able to swim up right behind performers on the stage. Now, there is no smoking in this space, and there are locations mentioned in the patter where smoking is allowed. Now, we aren't smokers, but the locations that we saw were Deck 18 forward on the starboard side and Deck 8 aft on the starboard side. Also, the casino is a designated smoking area. And we bring up these locations because if you're a smoker, you want to know where they are, but if you're a non-smoker, you want to avoid these areas. Let's move on because the next feature that we're going to talk about is the dome. Now, this is a feature that you can't miss on the new Sphere-class ships, and this is one of the locations that the Sphere designation comes from. Besides the Sphere structure on the side of the ship, the dome itself is, again, just another one of those Sphere-type structures on board. The dome has a capacity of 250 passengers, and since it faces forward, you can see where the ship is heading through all of the beautiful windows. It is a great place to chill out if you don't want to be outside. It is comfortable, but one of the things that we found kind of interesting about it is we saw a lot of photos of the dome before we boarded, and when we actually saw the space inside the dome, it was a lot smaller than we expected. Now, some of you seasoned Princess cruisers are very used to the sizes of the Princess Theater, and the dome space itself, which is going to be used for shows, is actually a little bit smaller in our opinion, than the Princess Theater located on the Royal class ships. Now, we really can't wait to see what it looks like when it's fully being used for shows because it is actually a beautiful space, mostly because of all of the windows. And we're going to get to see these shows live in action when we go on the Sun Princess again later this year. On most days, the dome is open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., but we had some days where the dome was closed completely and other days when it was open from, example, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. We bet the closures were for rehearsals of the soon-to-open Cirque du Soleil performances, and just like the Princess Theater is closed sometimes during the day, that is the case with the dome. So check your pattern daily if you plan to spend some time in the dome. At one end of the dome is the indoor-outdoor pool that we saw on the Seaview Terrace. And again, it's a little bit weird if you're swimming in the pool to be able to swim right up behind the stage for the dome. But also if you're in the dome, hearing people in the pool right behind, for example, violinists on stage, was a little bit weird. The stage itself is movable, which is another interesting feature of this area. Maybe Princess can close the door a little bit more during entertainment. We really don't know. Padded chairs are comfortable, and a fun fact is that chairs can be converted from a lounge chair during the day to 2 smaller chairs for shows at night. And we enjoyed this space a lot because our cruise was a little bit cold, and we can imagine using it when we want an air-conditioned space on hot weather cruises, or we don't really want the feel of being outside during rainy or windy conditions. And of course, like on our cruise, it was nice to be inside during the cooler weather. The Cirque du Soleil entertainment was not available when we sailed, and as we are editing this video, some passengers are being entertained with preview performances, and one of our followers told us that they were the hottest tickets on board. Also, when you attend the Captain's Party as a Captain Circle member, it is held in the Dome, and this is just a perfect spot. We absolutely love the beautiful cascading water feature at the entrance to the Dome. It is gorgeous during the day, but even more stunning at night. It spans the entire height of the Dome, which is about 3 decks. Adjacent to this is the Cascades Bar, where the Platinum and Elite Lounge is located every evening. Now, this is where we enjoyed our favorite cocktail every evening, the Velvet Sunset, with, of course, a beautiful view of the sunset out of these windows. It's interesting that a lot of passengers are walking past this constantly to get to the Dome, but there's a crew member at the door to limit access. Overall, the Seaview Terrace, bar, and the Dome was our favorite spot on this cruise ship. And we always call our favorite spot on any cruise ship our happy space. And this was it. It had everything that we wanted, from views, comfortable seating, and a pool, as well as the ability to get in and out of the sun. The Dome itself was a little bit smaller than we expected from photos, but we think it's really pretty cool, and we can't wait to see its full potential when the shows get into full swing. We will end this video with something from Princess Cruises, and we think this is really an interesting promo piece. And the reason that we really think it's interesting to show is because it gives you a good idea of how the Sun Princess will be a different vibe for Princess Cruises, and it showcases the area that we showed you today. We hope you enjoyed this tour of the Seaview Terrace and Bar and the Dome. Don't forget to subscribe or hit the like button, and we would really love to know your thoughts in the comments below. And we really appreciate your support. We have loads more videos on this beautiful ship. If you haven't looked at them, please take a moment to just peruse our channel, and remember that all proceeds are donated to charity, and we made our annual donation to the Navy SEAL Foundation in January of 2024, and that video is located on our channel as well. Always remember to make meaningful and healthy travel happen, and we'll see you next time.